Hey, hey, welcome to another episode. I am Dagny.
And I'm Damali.
And in this episode, we want to discuss and possibly debate with you about this concept and construct of the notion and possible illusions of, I'm getting to it, of equality between genders.
Yes. Hot topic.
Yes, very hot topic. And let me do some disclaimers before we get into it, just so you know what you're signing up for if you decide to continue listening to this discussion. All right. When we're talking about equality between genders, first, okay, a lot of the rhetoric and debating about this, it says between men and women. We are holding space for all genders here. But yes, a lot of the discussion is either everybody who identifies as men versus everybody who identifies as women. We also are going to try and trying to expand the scope of the conversation. So it's not only about dating, or it's not only about what your little brother or little sister did or did not do. Okay. We're trying to get a better sense of what can equality look like or mean, or what do we actually want? And we've noticed this in a previous episode, but we really don't view this conversation as it only is restricted to the category of feminism or any other types of ism labels, other than like, we're human and we need to make progress on this. We've been needing to make progress on this on a while. Okay. So that's where we're going for with this. Going to keep it respectful, but you know how me and Damali, we might get to some blows during this discussion, but it's okay. It's all right. We have Band-Aids, so it's fine.
And alcohol, the type that helps the other alcohol.
Indeed, for the wound, for the cuts.
Both. I'm just kidding.
Okay, ma'am. Anyways, so to start, I'm going to throw it back to Damali because this topic started with a very profound meme, M-E-M-E, that she came across that she's now going to illustrate through words for us.
Yes, want to expound on, yes. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go over why we have this. I have this idea for us to do this podcast episode. So I saw this meme on Instagram. You know how they do those, it's kind of a silly meme, but very profound in its own way. And basically, there's a man and a woman, they're walking. And when it starts raining, the man takes out his umbrella. And the woman, I guess his date, thinks that he's going to share the umbrella, but he just keeps it on himself. And so she gets drenched in water. And then they're walking close to the road, and she thinks the man is going to walk closer to the road, on the right. I guess it's the right side, like when you're walking and the man's supposed to kind of to protect you from the cars. But instead, he pushes her to that side of the road. So she gets splashed by a car. And then the last thing is they're going to go inside their own car, and she thinks that he's going to open the door for her, but he just gives her the keys and then just leaves her and waits for her to open the door for him. Mm-hmm. So of course it's very like ha ha ha, very funny kind of thing, and it's that whole thing that that's a buzzword for I don't know how many years now. Chivalry is dead, is kind of what that was in that meme, and so that kind of got me thinking. Oh no, time to talk about something else on these podcasts, and it made me think of the whole and then it made us think about what is chivalry? What is the meaning of chivalry? Is it really dead? Was it ever alive? What does it really mean? And does it help women more or help men more? So I guess to start, before, I don't know if Dagny wants to mention more on the chivalry part, but I'm going to pull up the definition of chivalry. I'm sure everybody knows what it is for the most part, but let's, get technical here. So chivalry is the medieval knightly system with its religious, moral, and societal code. So it's about knights and noblemen and horsemen collectively. It's a combination of qualities expected of an ideal knight, which include courage, honor, courtesy, and it's courteous behavior, especially that of a man toward women. So it's about being very gallant and gentlemanly and all about good manners. And of course, women have a role to play with this too, that they're supposed to acknowledge these good manners. And so when people say chivalry is dead, it means that we see like a lack of good manners. But then, of course, that got us both thinking that, it was chivalry actually did men act, were we really equal when we were being chivalrous? And what does this mean? And I don't know if Dagny, I think that was your point that you brought up about what the point of chivalry really was. And Dagny, if you want to go ahead on that.
Sure, yes. I do like that meme. I was laughing on the inside.
It's pretty funny.
Yes. And I think for me, one, it's good to bring up that definition because chivalry is very much created for knights, KNIGHTS.
Yes.
And there was a lot of hierarchy and performativeness that they had to do in their job. And when we fast forward to now, where, I mean, I'm not a man, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if men right now, when they're not at work or online or at home, they are outside with swords and horses, still doing something, whatever you're supposed to do with the swords and the horses. Now, I'm gonna possibly some, but I don't think all are still doing that. So the notion that chivalry at that level is no longer seen or no longer valued, because the other side of it is those who are supposed to be on the receiving end of this, because as the definition notes, chivalry is something apparently only men are supposed to do, and then women are supposed to acknowledge or respond to it in a certain way. And if women are not responding to it in a certain way, is the issue that women are not responding to it in a certain way, or men are just not doing it a certain way? It also reminds me of, and I'm not sure if this is also part of the chivalry category, where the women with the handkerchief. And if I take notice of a man, I should not just approach them, but I should make eye contact and drop my handkerchief. And then he will pick up my handkerchief. Did you drop this? And then now we have a conversation, because technically that was me kind of giving you the invitation. Is that a part of chivalry? I don't know if that's a part of the good manners sort of thing. I don't know. But when we're talking about chivalry in modern times, which is the manners about you should be walking on a certain part of the road, you should pay for this, you should speak to a woman like that, you should speak among your male friends in a certain way, is a lot of these good manners that are all outside. And a part of me was reflecting on this of like, this notion that chivalry should be the main red flag or green flag about everybody or about a certain gender, or that chivalry is the metric to measure whether somebody respects you or whether somebody is interested in you. And unfortunately or fortunately, I've noted in my observations that it seems similar to the medieval times that chivalry, unfortunately, can also be very performative.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this is for everybody. I don't mean everybody who opens the door for you is literally just doing that performance and could care less about you not walking into the door and smashing your head. I don't mean that, right? I'm just saying when we're taking the discussion to be like this rhetoric of people wanting to declare online that chivalry is dead, I think they're speaking to the notion of the performativeness part of chivalry, of where you are acting a certain way with the person you're around, that's not completely reflective of how you care or respect about the person. It's more reflective of you are trying to check off the boxes for the audience that's around you. Your community around you needs to keep you in check. So if they see you with somebody outside, you need to be acting a certain way with them. If you're not, that's giving the signal to everybody else that, okay, obviously this person is not your person, or this person is not your family, or this person is somebody you don't care about, because how did you allow them to open the door? Or how are you allowing them to walk on this side of the road? Or how did you not do this, that, the other with your so-called manners? And I think that is where the concern is and where the danger can be with this rhetoric about how you're trying to discern whether somebody respects you or not, or whether that respect is equal. If you take note that if for a portion of the population, chivalry is something you just checked off of a box to perform, as in for this moment in time, because I asked you out, I'm going to do all the right things for this hour and a half or 30 minutes that we're interacting with each other. And then the moment the clock ends, all of that good manners just also stops. Like it's done. Or noting how the chivalry is there if there is a chance or perceived thinking that there's a chance that either this person will allow you to have access to them, or this person will allow you to take from them, or this person will allow you to date them. Because not only for dating purposes, it's also be like you're being chivalrous for a business transaction or some type of agreement, and you're trying to be really respectful and good mannered because you want something out of this interaction. It doesn't only have to be for sexual purposes or dating. But the moment there is a rejection or access denied, or actually, I don't agree with what this business term is, or I don't agree with the parameters of how you want this interaction to go, the performative stuff stops for some people. The chivalry just like ends. Like, okay, well then you can go get your own keys. You can get your own coat. You can do, you know what I'm saying? Like go find your own way home. I don't know where you went. Like
you can die on some hill somewhere. I don't give a damn.
Like completely kick you out. And that's where I think that's where the danger is, when we want to claim, oh my gosh, chivalry is dead. And like women are obviously confusing people because they don't even know what they want and all this stuff. And it's like, no, you're speaking to the performativeness that has been further amplified with movies and books, further amplified with what you think happened in medieval times. Because have you met a medieval person to ask them if that really happened? No. You didn't. Did you ask the dragon? That's what they were looking at before they like burned down the castle? No, you did not. These are all documentations that are probably exactly that are probably embellished in some way. You know what I'm saying? Like the only person really that you should like, I think, ask about this stuff is Shrek, because he was medieval, but also, like
I'm sorry, what's the point you're getting to? It's like more realistic.
Sorry, my bad. I feel like the notion that chivalry is dead is more about the performativeness side of it. Good manners are not dead. And the notion that if people
good manners are not dead. Yes. Snaps.
I think the only thing is that now you're more cognizant of the fact that some people can turn their good manners on and off because their good manners have conditions to them. While other people, the good manners are on. The mic is on, the good manners are on at all times.
All the time.
Regardless of how useless you are approaching them or not, their good manners are there. So it's more on the personality side of the individual, as opposed to making this blanket statement about this entire demographic that none of this gender knows how to be a knight anymore. I don't think that's where chivalry is right now. And neither do I think on the other side of it, of claiming women don't know how to recognize or acknowledge chivalry or don't even value it. I don't think that's the case either. I do think that we've had some time where, because manners have become, I don't know if this has always been the case, but because good manners have become conditional in some ways, that means a lot of people have had to settle or tolerate less than what they deserve. Mm-hmm. And so just because some women possibly did not receive the chivalry that they deserved, but went ahead and continued, or some men possibly don't give the chivalry that they really should be doing or not, and then continued, you can't put them, amplify that experience to claim that all of it is dead. And so we should all just continue.
And everyone is like that.
Everyone's like that. And everyone should forget that they learned manners in the first place. I don't think that's the case. So to segue that, or is there anything else you want to note on that before we move on to the next?
I was just going to say about a joke I heard where it's like, we can't be treating people like vending machines. Like, oh, if I,
Snaps.
If I put this, a vending machine works, right? If I'm assuming everybody knows what a vending machine is, you put some money in and then you put the F1, C1, and then you get the food you want in the vending machine. You can't treat people like that with manners. You can't be like, oh, if I act this way towards someone, then of course I'll get with them. Or if I do this nice thing, they'll sleep with me. Or if I do this thing, they'll give me money. Like, and I feel like sometimes we do that. And it's like, just because you're nice to someone and just because you like them does not mean they have to like you back, right? It does not mean they have to let you have access to them. it is not, people don't what's not expect, but people don't owe you things like that. Like, oh, I was nice to them, I did all these wonderful things, so why can't they? That's not how people work. And also I think that's more of a surface thing, because like when you're just trying to get from someone from a surface level, that's how people act. If you actually deeply, if you really care about people and and you're thinking about yourself and the other person, I feel like people will less likely treat people like vending machines. And that's what chivalry makes me kind of think of. And I like what you said, like chivalry is not dead. Like good manners, they're always good manners. It's like you have them or you don't have them. But I do think, and what was the other thing you said about, oh yeah, how it's like a performative thing where it's like, I think another layer too that made me think about is like, sometimes men do that for other, like it's about for other men kind of thing. Like you act a certain way to show other men, oh, well, look at me, I'm chivalrous, and what are you going to do about it? And I have this and you don't, kind of thing. And it has less to do about like how the woman feels or how other people feel. So yeah, so I think that's our chivalry talk.
Okay. And that is a good segue to the next point about if equal respect could happen between the genders, if historically, at least in the system we've been in now for a couple thousand years, where there has been this transactional and exploitative tension expectations between the genders. And this connects to another video, which I will link in the show notes so you can see it. And we're not necessarily endorsing the message of all these different references that we're showing. It's just like we're taking note of like, this is where the conversations have been going right now. And we need to respond to it to get a sense of like, do we agree with this? Does some of it resonate? Have we experienced this? Do we want to continue in this direction at all? And this other video was trying to discuss this notion of value between the genders. And in this video, they noted how apparently some men possibly actually don't like women, or possibly have been conditioned to hate women, but need to do the chivalry and the performance and the pursuit because they need women for status.
It's like a value thing. Yeah.
It's a value thing of like their value is based on, can you catch the woman that all your male friends also agree is hot or also agree is a suitable object to be on your arm? And in the video, she mentions, like she gives the example of Princess Diana. And at least from what we know about Princess Diana's situation with her husband, and it was kind of obvious that he really didn't like her in any shape or form.
King Charles.
Not at all. And was actually quite disgusting towards her. But in this video, she notes that like all of that was this dynamic of you really hate the woman you value. Like you actually would want to be her. And you're resentful that she is so much of whatever she has something that you don't have, that he does not have within himself or something like that. And that got me thinking, one, that saddens me if that's truly how these dynamics have continued to play out. And that got me reflecting on, okay, so when we're talking about equality, how does that work if this is the dynamic we're dealing with? And this, again, this is not only in relationships. This is also in the work situation, the school situation, because we kind of take up a lot of space. All genders take up a lot of space. You can't work anywhere without the other gender in the room with you. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't kind of, unless like you go off on an island somewhere with just one gender, like we kind of have to work together and interact with each other. And if this deep-seated resentment and hatred is continuing, allowed to continue, will we ever even get past this looping rhetoric of chivalry's dead, or, you know, what we will never have full equality, if we're actually not paying attention to the source of some of these disconnects, right? Where this deep-seated resentment and hatred between the genders has continued for possibly a really long time. And I see that dynamic more as of recently because of like so much, I guess, I don't know. I guess we have access to so much more information now. So it's not only what you can see in real time of like, I'm watching the men just outside around me and how they're navigating the reality. I'm watching women. I'm watching, I'm seeing how the interactions are going. I'm hearing the stories of what happened to who and what, but then also a lot of negativity, of course, is amplified on the internet. And this reminds me of the rhetoric happening with the different colored pills, the red pill, the blue pill, the rainbow pill, but the different pills that apparently
Matrix reference.
But the different pills that apparently men are taking. And I forget which, if it's the blue or the red one, that correlates with the notion or the ideology that men hate women and that men are entitled to put women in their place, even if it requires violence. But they're also entitled to impregnate women or do whatever they want to women as well, sort of thing. And I mean, I'm assuming, I guess this ideology has been around forever, but it's only in the past few years that it's taken on, morphed into something else online. And I guess in groups offline too, of even proudly claiming you're one group over the other and proudly claiming this is how you feel about people. And what does concern me about that is we are in an era where a lot of things are shifting and a lot of so-called gender rules and gender roles have been shifting. And there has been this evolution happening where it does seem that women and people who identify as women are redefining their role on this planet, redefining their values, redefining their priorities. This does not mean women hate men. This does not mean women are claiming they don't need men. It's just saying we would like to turn the page and start a new chapter. We really don't need to continue looping anymore because collectively that's not serving any of us. And on the one hand, doesn't that sound great for everybody? Wouldn't that be nice if it's like, wholesome? Yes.
And respectful.
And respectful of everybody. And so on the other side of that dynamic, if the red pill, blue pill, green pill, rainbow pills, their rhetoric notes that they feel threatened by this. And on the surface, they will mock it, dismiss it, insist, well, then you're not relationship material. You're not work material. You're not this material.
You're
not
a man.
Material.
You want to be a man.
You want to be a man, blah, 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 etc. But what is concerning, at least from what I've seen some examples of, and some of this I see more in the West, and then but it's trickling into other parts of the world too, of either you have examples where there are very young kids, like middle school age, 12-year-old something. And what's happening is for example, I'll just give one example because we can move on. But for example, noting how this rhetoric has permeated through the psyches, yes, of where this issue is beyond what's online. Where you have examples where in a classroom, maybe they're in middle school, so it's like 12-year-olds. And of course, it's co-ed. You have different genders in the classroom. And there would be this dynamic where maybe the boy and the girl are having to, work on an activity in the classroom or something, or something of that matter, where the girl is giving the boy the answer or helping him with the equation or something. And the boy goes completely off on her. They're both 12 years old. The boy goes completely off and starts reiterating commentary that these red pill, blue pill, or rainbow pill are saying of like, you should know your place. You're a girl. You shouldn't be telling me the answer, et cetera, et cetera. And and calling her like the B word and what they would do, you know, what we do to B words like you, like that sort of vibe. And this is not racially influenced.
Charged.
It's not a racially charged thing. They were both the same ethnicity. Yes. And so when I see examples of that happening, to me, it further confirms how much more work needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because if we claim, oh, but we've gone so far, you know, I mean, there was a time women couldn't even vote, you know, and we couldn't even be in the office or work or have our own bank account. So, wow, there was a time women couldn't even drive. So there's nothing wrong now. And you have a 12-year-old boy acting like this in a classroom in a so-called developed country who probably has a smartphone and a tablet and an Xbox and whatever other stuff in his place. That to me shows that we might be slipping or slacking when it comes to whatever progress we're supposed to be having, because this boy, as the example, they didn't come up with that in their head in a vacuum. Where did they hear that stuff from? And it was when I saw the clip, like he was so livid, like completely disgusted by this girl. And there's a 12-year-old boy. And I'm like, where does that come from? That you feel so threatened. Exactly. That you feel so threatened that a girl knew the answer or was trying to help you with a school activity. Is that from home? Is it something they're watching on YouTube or TikTok? Is it their older sibling? Is it their parent? Where is that coming from? And why are we allowing that to slide? Because yeah, sure, the teacher might do a deal. Okay, kids, separate. We won't put you together, but no one's going to check that boy who's going to continue growing up in this way. Yes. And I don't know if they're being checked at home either. So sometimes and this connects, but when we're doing over here, internationally, they have something called International Women's Day that they celebrate every year. And stuff like this makes me wonder, when we're talking about equality or you're talking about celebrating women or celebrating how far we've gone among the genders, I just feel like we can't get too lulled in propaganda and facades. Just because you have a few more women CEOs does not mean we've really made the progress that we need. Just because the classroom is more co-ed does not mean that everybody actually feels like they're equal. Now, on the one hand, the way that boys' behavior was not okay. But that also gets me to realize that the equality thing cannot leave boys behind.
Yes.
As in, we can't do this deal of, if you're trying to get children, because I do feel the bigger picture is not only adults, y'all need to be chivalrous or good manners and stuff. We need to be very intentional about our kids, regardless if they're your biological kids or not. And I do take note that we've had a very big push of campaigns and focus on girls. Because historically they've been left behind for so long, you didn't even allow them to go to school at one point. So it makes sense that, okay, now we need to have girls are on the books, girls are getting the A's, girls are getting the awards. But what do you do with all the boys sitting in the classroom who are watching this? Or taking note that, how are they internalizing this? As in, do they feel like, oh yeah, we're equal? Or do they now start festering some resentment because now they feel left behind, they feel left out, they feel excluded, they feel they're not valued. Everyone's ignoring the boy because we're all focused on the girl child. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you don't focus on the girl child, but we need to have a balance between the two, because unfortunately the boy may still grow up and be harmful towards the girl, and vice versa. Of course, that can happen too. But the rhetoric and the curriculum cannot be so separate or segregated. As if, well, because boys had everything all this time, we'll just leave them to have everything and and just focus on it. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
It has to go hand in hand.
It has to be together. We're both working towards something. Because that's why right now we're in this era where we have adults, and it does feel like when the evolution side is leaning more towards women are doing the healing and the evolving, and the men are
doing what they do.
I don't mean any disrespect. I don't. But there's one group is a bit ahead than the other group. There's a gap. There's a gap there.
Mhm.
And we're kind of allowing that gap to grow even bigger among the younger generations if we are kind of like, just let the boys do what the boys do. It's fine. And just focus on the girls to be whatever you claim you wanted the girls to be. I know I connected a variety of dots there for this second part, but I'm going to throw it back to you in terms of what other points you
caught
it.
Yes,
go on with that.
Yeah, so basically everybody should go and heal. That's what we need to do.
Yes.
I'm thinking about how scary that thing of that 12-year-old boy and girl. What if they were by themselves, or they were at recess? Like, what if we hit her or something, or just horrible? Because and it's true, we don't know where the source is of it. Because I'm like, we have social media, we all know that how you're supposed to act with people, right? And I think the main thing is, it's not so much about like men. I mean, it is, but it's not so much of men pitting women against women, versus men. It's human. Like, it's like, why do you like girls are humans and men are humans. And so why don't, if you don't treat other men like that, why do you treat women like that? Like, we're all, but it's almost like some men don't even see women as like real people. They just see them as like this object to like show off on their arm, and just kind of, and they don't care like what we have to say, or they don't like, and then we always have weird like dumb things people say on comments that are, I mean, they're just dumb comments. So, but it's still kind of frightening. Like I've heard, I think something I read somewhere, was some woman they wanted her to be, I don't know what it was. And they was like, oh, women can't be presidents because they only do stuff based off of their emotions. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, wait, what? I don't really, things like that. And I'm like, I thought we were over that like, just because women are more open with their emotion does not negate our intelligence. You know what I mean? And actually, men are actually really emotional too, but I don't know why, we get mad and then we're just like, oh, I feel mad, let me go bomb someplace. Like, that's a little bit emotional.
That's a bit emotional.
Okay? That's a bit, I mean, you don't have to bomb them. Why don't you have a conversation? Like, you know what I mean? But it's an issue. And I want to go back to what you said about Princess Di and King Charles. I didn't know there was such an age gap. And also, I didn't know that it kind of looked like, I don't know if there's some grooming there or not. I'm not sure. But I was like, okay, that's strange. And then also there is a note about Gossip Girl. I don't know if any Gossip Girl fans. Now I see how toxic it is. But in high school, it was kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? But yeah, Gossip Girl is another show that also showed, I mean, of course, it's a show. And you know how shows like to make things toxic because that's entertainment. But it was kind of creepy. Like, I mean, spoiler alert, well, not really a spoiler, but like Dan, the way that Dan treated like Serena and Blair was kind of creepy, actually, now I think about it. Like, he was kind of treating Serena was kind of seen as like an object in some ways. Like the way he would like talk about her and look at her and be like, I need you are my muse. And it was just kind of like, at the time watching in high school, I was like, whatever, oh my God, who's going to get together with who? Oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? But now I'm like, this is really sketchy and I don't want to know Dan. Like, you know what I mean? Just creepy, Like Serena's like this like perfect thing that he puts on this like pedestal. And then she even starts lying to him because she knows he put her on a pedestal. It's just really weird. And then you have Blair, where for a time he was with her. And I kind of think he also had that thing of wanting to be her. Actually, there was some kind of thing where you kind of like you're into her, but you're kind of jealous of her too. Like a weird kind of, and you helped her, but to get access to something, like you had access to something, excuse me, but you helped her kind of thing. So that made me think of some of the value thing, where it's like you value the woman, like you're like, this is, she is this perfect thing, but like you want to like, you don't see her as like a real human. You see her as like a commodity or like a thing that needs to like, I need this for, it makes me think of like that. There's some K-drama we watched like that too. It might give me like Othello vibes, where if you don't act the way I need you to act as a woman, then I need to put you on the corner. Or spoiler alert, in Othello's case, you die. You know what I mean? Yep. Which is kind of intense. I don't know why we're killing people when we don't have all the anyway. But the point is, there's a lot of that, and it makes you think like, yeah, you don't like women. You just want them in your life for a certain purpose. And then you have women who, on the other hand, are just like, making it seem as if, oh, forget men, we're just going to go off in some island by ourselves, and men suck, and men this and all this stuff. And I'm kind of like, but that's not how that, if you're going to live with men, you need to live with men. Like, if you're going to live with women, you need to live with women. You can't just like be like, well, we'll just do our own thing and leave them alone. You have to work with them. Like, and this equality thing, like, you can't do equality one-sided. Like, women can't be like, we want equality, but we're not going to talk to men. How does then what are you doing? And it makes me think of this other older. This is like, of course, before Gossip Girl or Princess Diana and everything. And I'm sure everyone knows maybe of the classic, the yellow wallpaper. Maybe some of you remember from school. I don't know if they teach anymore, but it was by the writer. Well, what's her name again? Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And she wrote a story called Herland, where it was just a bunch of women on an island and no men at all. And then 3 men are like, whoa, where's the men? It's only women. And then the yellow wallpaper, basically, I don't know if it's a spoiler, basically yellow wallpaper, you see a woman go basically crazy because she's isolated and her husband won't listen to whatever she says. Like, anything that she says, he's just like, no, I know better. And he completely doesn't care what she says. Like, he thinks that, oh, will help you. And I'm a doctor, so... And then you see her basically go insane, kind of thing. Like, she's either going insane or she has like postpartum depression. Anyway, so she loses her mind, basically. And we don't even know if she killed herself or not. But the point is, an extreme case, like, we shouldn't be in that same mode of like, whatever women say, we just, they don't know anything, so we're just going to close our ears. And it's like, if you want to grow and you want to heal and you want to stop feeling like you're left behind, you need to listen. Like, men need to listen to men, and women need to listen to men, and all that stuff. And I think not everyone, or at least the ones making noise, are not listening. I would like to think that the quiet ones, men and women, have more of an understanding of what's going on and they get what the deal is. But a lot of the things we hear of just no one's really listening. Everyone is just, women are screaming at men are screaming at women. We're just screaming at each other about, well, you did this and you don't do this and oh my God and blah, blah, blah and everything. And I don't think that is how we get to a solution, right? It's kind of like we're like running in circles and we keep screaming about, I don't know why we can't get to the finish line, but then you never go to the finish because you're just running in circles, right? And it's kind of like you said, you need to get to the source of it and like the main problem. And I think one of the main things is not listening and not communicating properly. And just if something challenges you or you don't understand something or uncomfortable, you immediately be like, oh, I'm going to block it. I'm not even going to listen to it. And then if someone like challenge, and we see this happening like with people who, not just with like, I guess, but people that are like supposed to be smart and intelligent and have degrees and are people of power and all this stuff. And they talk to women as if, or women to men as if like we're in kindergarten. Like, why can't you have proper conversations? Like, even if you don't agree on stuff and you just want to like, I know there's another thing called mansplaining, but I think that's also kind of like a newish thing where it's like, even if a woman knows more, the man has to explain all this stuff and tell the woman this, or ignore the wife and only talk to the husband, things like that, which are like smaller scale to the whole big thing. But yeah, it's very like concerning because it's like you would think the more we talk about equality, the better it would get. But in some ways, yes, but in other ways, no, because now it's like confusing, and then now it's a thing where it's flipped, where men are saying that, well, we don't know what to do anymore because women just confuse us, and I don't know what they want, and like we can't be men anymore. So and it's like, I don't think that's what that's not what we're trying to do. Like, like we're not just, oh, we're just trying to confuse y'all because it's fun. No, like that's not, because I've heard that where it's like, oh, well, I don't even know how to talk. Like, I'm just not going to talk to anybody then. I'm like, you just have a conversation. I don't get like, and believe me, yes, I'm not saying women are annoying too. Don't get me wrong. Some women, like, they be saying out of pocket stuff, and I'm like, I'm a girl and I don't think that at all. You're just being weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get out. But he like, if you don't it's like, if you don't understand something, kind of be open to figure it out. Like, like if you're trying to, like, let's say you're taking a test in school and like you need to take a test to pass, and you're like, well, the teacher made this to confuse me, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to sit here and not do the test because the teacher's trying to confuse me. And it's like, I don't think that, maybe figure out maybe ask the teacher, like, like maybe figure that out. And so, yeah, it's not made to confuse. It's not made to put, this pitting against each other. Like, I don't get this man hating, woman hating thing. And then when women want to speak, we are like, oh, well, they're trying to be men. I don't think that either, but and also on another side of it, it is difficult for women because, like, for men, like, you just kind of have work and you do that and you're good. For women are trying to kind of redefine them, but they don't really know, because it's like you want to be, like, you want to work kind of thing, but then you also have to, well, you're supposed to get married, and then but you also have to be pregnant, and then you also have to have kids, and you have to deal with having a kid, and then you have to deal with taking care of it, and then your hormones change and all of this stuff happens to you. But but you have to, like, you need both. You need the feminine side and the masculine side to do both. And, like, as a woman, it's hard because, like, how do you do all of that without, like, burning out and, like, jumping on a window, like, you know what I mean? Like, and without having, and then people keep on having a problem, like, whether if you're a mother and you stay at home, it's a problem. If you're a mother and you go to work, it's a problem. If you can't take care of your kid, it's like you never kind of, like, we're not given, like, a lot of grace for that. And I don't, and I remember, like, there was a video I watched some time ago where there was all these people that he was interviewing, and he was talking about a job that they could get. And he didn't tell you what the job was, but all that he described was, like, you have to be up all the time, you have to, like, it's like 24 hours, all this stuff, and none of them wanted the job. And then at the end he said, oh, it's actually, like, it's a mother, like, that's what the job is, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought that was funny, where it's like,
Yes.
yeah, because, like, for a 9 to 5 job, you can get off the job.
Clock in and clock out.
Yeah. I don't think you can clock in, clock out as a mother. I don't think the baby's going to be like, well, mom, the baby's crying, and then the baby stops crying. Oh, it's 5 p.m. Okay, mom, I won't bother you until tomorrow at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And then the woman, and then not only that, like, you have to, if you're working, and then you have to deal with, like, oh, you have to get the kids medication. You have to drop them off. So there's all this other extra stuff. And so women are trying to figure that out. And then you get hate either way. Like, if you want to be pregnant, it's a problem. If you don't have a kid and you rather just do your job and work, that's a problem too. We're trying to be men. And it's just like, which makes sense. I mean, when you're trying to redefine stuff and do something different, things will get kind of bumpy, right? But I just think that we need to work more together and stop hating on each other and stop, like, cursing each other and judging each other for our stuff. And we have to, if we're going to live together, we need to figure out how to live together without, like, wanting to, like, literally or figuratively kill each other, right? And which kind of makes, I don't know if this is a segue, but I guess to go into, like, what do we want when we say equality? What do we actually want? That, I think, is, like, the biggest question, because, like, that is a little, like, what are we, I don't want to say that, that's a little confusing, but we can get through it. Okay. We're not going to just sit it down, not do anything kind of thing. But yeah, what do we really want? Because, like, people say they want equal this, they want equal that, and then it's not really, but then it's like, you want equal for certain things, but not others. And it's just very, like, what exactly are we looking at, kind of thing. And yeah, it's like, you want equal pay, right? Because if you're doing the same job, right, and you want to be equal, but, like, for me, I don't really want to be a firefighter. You know what I mean? For example, like, I don't really want to be a bodybuilder, like, things that I guess a lot of men do. Like, and I'm like, if I don't want to do that, does that mean I can't be equal? Like, no. And, like, and I don't want to, like, be as muscular as a man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we need that, right? And then people want equal pay, but then you have the argument about, oh, who pays for dinner? Like, does the man pay, or does that, and who opens the door, kind of thing? Or if there's a spider, who's the one that gets at the woman or the man? Like, you know what I mean? These are, like, kind of, silly bits, but no, it's important, because it's like, what do you mean by equality? I mean, for me, I think people should just be respectful of whatever you do, whether you work or you don't work, you have kids, you are a bodybuilder or not. Everyone should have, like, grace, and not, like, be like, well, I work more than you, so, and it's supposed to be like a partnership, and you help each other along the way. It's not about we're trying to, like, compete on who can work harder than the other. And then also that's why we're seeing such burnout, because there are certain things that women try to do that men do and it doesn't work, right? And then men also, like, imagine, I mean, we can't do it, but like if a man could get pregnant, I'm pretty sure he would struggle with that, because he's not really used to kind of thing. Or I mean, it's not, I mean, this is kind of a silly one, but I know they have those like what those fake things where they put something on a man to make him feel period cramps or something.
But yeah, a simulation.
Which I know is not.
It simulates the thing. Yes. Yeah.
It simulates you're having cramps. And these simulations I don't even think they're that bad. I mean, I'm a woman, so I know how bad cramps can be. But all the men are like freaking out. You know what I mean? And it's not even that And so I'm pretty sure it's like, my point is like, it's okay if there are some things men can do that women can't, and that women can do and men can't. That's okay. You're both different. I'm pretty sure there are things that bees can do that butterflies can't. Like bees can buzz and butterflies can't buzz, right? Super simple. It's simple, but you get me. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think bees can like go into a cocoon and become a butterfly, right? So I just think like we can both be different and have different strengths and weaknesses and not kill each other over it. And I think the main thing is to be respectful to people and what they do, and be able to communicate and like be able to talk about what are things that you don't like about this and what are things I like about this, and like why are we having problems? Like, why is this, why do you, because I think the biggest thing of people is they just want to be respected and acknowledged. That's the main thing. Even if they're not doing what you do, and even if like, it depends if your job or whatever level you're at is different from the other person, if you acknowledge people and you respect them and you give them space to speak their truth, that's what most people want, I think. And if we did that more and we're open about it, like, even, I mean, I know they didn't do it, but like in that situation with the 12-year-old, a thing that the teacher maybe could have done is take them aside and be like, hey, why are you so angry? And really ask the boy, like, what is the problem? Like, why? And the girl too, what happened here? Why are you mad? Ask the boy, what is the problem? Is something at home? Why do you feel like, why do you think it's okay to tell the girl that? And be like, do you have a sister? Do you have a mom? Would you talk to her like that? Like, there's so many ways you can like break it down to ask, why are you so enraged about this? And how can we fix this so you're not enraged anymore, kind of thing. And like, what is it that angers you so much about like the other sex doing something that doesn't align with you? And I just feel like a lot of times we don't really have these conversations, or the people that are not having them are louder. And then, well, a little segue before getting back there, but it makes me think of another part where it's like, I want to talk to the people who get it. Like, I want to talk to the men and women that are healing, in the process of healing, healed. They get, because I know we like it makes it all men are horrible, but I don't believe that. I don't care how bad you guys are. I know that there are some awesome men out there who do awesome stuff, and they are great people, and they're awesome, and they're polite and awesome towards other men and women. And I'm pretty sure they get what's going down. I want to hear them talking. I want to hear how they feel about what's going on around them, and why their other men peers are acting a fool, or other women peers are, kind of thing. And I think we need to expand the conversation and discuss like things are getting better, but they're not yet. And like, why can't we figure that out? Well, what kind of class do we have to create? Where do we have this conversation, and expand on it, where it's not, because it's always about dating all the time. And I'm like, I don't think dating is the only thing you do in life, right? Like, that's not like, don't you go to work? Don't you do other stuff? Don't you have hobbies? We do other things than just dating, right? And also, I don't think you should be nice to someone just to date them. Like, why do that? Like, just be a jerk the whole time. So, and if they date you, at least that they're okay with you being a jerk. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? So and you shouldn't try to like, oh, I'm going to act this way to get the person to like me or do whatever for me. And then when they don't react the way I want them to, I attack them. I don't think it's okay to, I just don't think you should do that to people, That's true. Like, why are you like, and of course that would make you afraid to talk to people. Cause I'm like, I don't know if you're the type to attack me if I say I don't like you. Like, how am I supposed to tell you? Do I pretend I like you so you don't attack me? That's creepy. I don't like that. You know what I mean? That's not, so we just have to have better conversations and actually figure out a strategy. Like, how can we grow together and heal and have equality where people don't feel like they're being left behind or messed with, or because I can see men's perspective also. Because sometimes I feel for men, they're kind of like, well, if women are doing everything we do, then what the hell do they need us for? And I'm like, that's not the point, sir. That is not the point. We're supposed to work together, okay? We still need you, just like differently, kind of thing. You don't, and then that joke they make where like if women are supposed to have babies and that's it, or stay in the kitchen, and then women are going to say, well, men should be going outside and hunting all the animals. They should be hunting all the bears and the chickens and everything and bringing them home. They should be building my house from scratch. Why aren't they doing that? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if you're not doing this, why are you asking me to have babies? Like,
Yep.
And yeah. And then I don't appreciate the thing where, oh, if women want to take control of themselves, oh, well, they're trying to be men, or they look like men, or they're speaking like men. I'm like, that's not okay, And yeah, and I think men also have to be better at balancing their feminine, because believe it or not, all women and men have feminine and masculine energies. They both and one is not stronger or weaker than the other. They're just different. One is maybe softer than the other one, but and yeah. So is chivalry dead? I don't think chivalry is dead. It's just like it's not dead. It's just like it's literally on the floor right in front of you. You just won't pick it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get me? You get what I'm. So yeah, we have to have a conversation. We need to talk more, and people need to stop like breathing down people's like necks and like attacking people. And it can't be like we're going from women hating to men hating. Like that is not what we're supposed to do. And I think people don't like talk enough about this, and we have to stop being like, well, this is the experience I had, so all men are like this, or all women are like this, or they're all. And I'm like, okay, you say that, but have you met me? Like, I'm just saying, like, like I'm not. That's not. You know what I mean? So and so yeah, so it makes it very difficult. And the older you get, it's difficult because I'm kind of like, yeah, sometimes I do feel like that. Like I'm just gonna go by myself on an island because y'all just be acting like a fool, like just making noise and being rude. And I'm like, I'm nice to people, so why aren't they nice? Like, why aren't people nice? Like, like you can be nice even if you don't like someone. I've done it before. But yeah, just be, just be respectful, just be chill, just don't attack people. Like, just don't touch people if they don't want to be touched. Like, I don't understand, you know what I mean? But I guess, I don't know. So yeah, I refuse to believe that all men are horrible. I refuse to believe that all women are hags. I refuse to believe that that's I refuse to believe they're all bitter and whatever. I refuse that. And yes, maybe women, a lot of women, possibly a little bit, can live alone better than men. Maybe they're better at having their own space, but that's fine. We can work through it. We can help you men out. We can figure this out, And yeah, because I think like, just because something's not working doesn't mean you throw it away. You like fix it, right? So I'm anyway, it's just interesting before I think of something else, go ahead, Dag. That's my I'm like, I put out some stuff and I'm tired now. So let's get
Good job.
I need to rev up again.
Indeed. But I like the gems you were dropping. I love it. Yes.
All the gems.
You were dropping the mic. Go pick it back up.
Jewelry shop.
You know what I'm saying?
Whole jewelry shop, man.
Hey, exactly. Yeah. Go pick up the mic. You dropped it. You dropped it multiple times.
I dropped it. I did.
All right.
So it's rolling. Yeah.
I would say there's a few things. I tried to note them so I remember. In terms of that, I liked what you noted and wanted to add or piggyback or picky off of.
Yes.
I like the question of like, okay, so equality, what do we mean by that? What do we actually want? And noting that historically speaking, over the years, the definition has changed. The goalpost has changed. The demands and the needs have changed. And I do agree that, I think respect is the top priority, really, across the board. And noting the source of conditioning to start deconditioning. Because like you noted, this emotional stuff, which a lot of it is anger, resentment, and pain, that bubbles up in these things where the harm and the attack happens. And it really wasn't because of this one confrontation in front of you. But there's just this really deep-seated resentment, jealousy, pain, harm, and fear towards a certain demographic or towards a certain gender. And it did get me thinking, when it comes to the healing that's needed, a study was done where women were asked, women were asked, if men did not exist, like tomorrow they just disappeared, what would your life be like? And the women who were, surveyed on this, they responded with like, actually, it'll probably be really peaceful. I would eat what I want. I probably wouldn't care about my weight anymore. I would add all these different hobbies. Like they were just listing all the different types of activities or whatever that their life would be. And again, not claiming that they're celebrating the fact that men disappeared, but they actually could answer that, like, actually, they would still have a life of some shape or form, and possibly would, another big thing they were noting, they possibly would feel safe or feel more safe. They probably would not be any wars happening. There possibly would not be like major systematic discrepancies happening. Like on a macro and micro level, they were listing these different things. The same study then asked the same question to a group of men. If women disappeared tomorrow, what would your life be like? And the theme of their answers were, a lot of men said they would probably end their own lives. As in, they could not see what would be the point to be alive if women were not around. And it's like,
boom.
My mind. So bringing that into this conversation, in spite of the pills that some people are taking, in spite of
reference continues.
I'm just saying, in spite of any of the rhetoric or propaganda to make it seem like these genders are tit for tat, butting heads, and would never be able to collaborate or heal or actually be loving towards each other. Yes? There is a difference of maybe one is relying more on the other than you even realize. Or the value that you set on one over the other is a bit misplaced. Because on that side of the men noting, like, what would be the point if women weren't around? And that was a time they could actually express the things they value about women outside. Some of it was what women do for them, but a lot of it was outside of that. So it's like, okay, so it's not that we don't know that we both all are valuable, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we get it so that our system that's in place also reflects that? Because the respect that we're talking about is not only say the word please and thank you and open the door.
Yeah.
Right? The respect is systematic of like, you're in a world that doesn't feel safe to be a woman. That at night you will carry your keys in your hand like you're Wolverine if you're outside, just in case in some parts of the world, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a woman, well, if you're a man, I don't know, like men, please let me know. Do you guys also, if you're walking at night, are you also scared?
You think a girl's going to eat you or something?
Like, are you scared someone's going to attack you too? Or is it just a woman thing that we got to be like, hold on, I got my eyes open over here. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about equality, it's like, yes, I think as always, there's an individual and collective level to it. Individually, we got to ask ourselves, if you can answer the question, what do you like about this gender? So if you're a man or identify as a man, we're now in like solution orientation mode. If you're a man who identifies as a man and you were asked the question, what do you like about women? And then you just list, okay, go ahead and list it. Okay, fine. My second question to you will be like, okay, great. Now, look at that list. What do you like about women that has nothing to do with what women do for you or give to you? Mm-hmm. Is there anything on that list that answers the second question? If not, can you now answer that second question? And if you cannot, now your healing can begin. Because now we have found the source of part of the issue. All right.
Yay, congratulations.
Okay. Congratulations. We found the source. Now, here's the thing. You might be somebody who's respectful, polite, would not hit a fly or a mosquito.
Chivalrous.
You might have all the good manners, but if you have difficulty answering the question, what do you like about women beyond what they do for you or give to you? This is part of your deep-seated conditioning that needs to heal. Because this other gender that's not you is not here to just be some transaction, a source of some transactional something for you to siphon off. It's not a vending machine. That women are not a vending machine to you. You should be able to list what do you like about women in general outside of how they can pleasure you or feed you or clean for you or do whatever the other things. Okay. Similarly, for my women or people who identify as women, what do you like about men? And on that list, what do you like about men outside of what they can provide for you? If it's difficult to answer the second question, or if there's nothing in your first answer that gets to the second question, here now we can start again with our healing and conditioning. Because this gender role deal of one provides and one receives, we complement each other. And the system has caused us to really distort that complementary collaboration that we naturally would have, that synergy we naturally have when we're not over-influenced and conditioned. There are things that men provide and receive, and there are things that women provide and receive, and they are equal. They are equally as valuable, and we need both of each other to complement each other. Women don't necessarily want to be wearing the pants all the time, don't necessarily want to be doing everything all the time. And the systems that are in place is like, but you have to, because if you don't, it's not safe not to anymore.
Yeah.
Fortunately. So it's like, because it's not safe to be the damsel in distress. None of us can be Rapunzel anymore. Like we don't have time for that. Yes?
There's no time.
There's no time for that. But that doesn't mean when you come across women who are like that, it doesn't mean that's what they necessarily want to be all the time either. But at the same time, men also, a portion of them also feel kind of stressed out of feeling like they need to have all the answers, or they need to be able to do everything, or they need to be able to rescue everything when they're possibly just as clueless. It's okay if you're clueless. It's not okay if you need to attack a woman who's holding you accountable, telling you you're clueless. Let's work this out together. And you get angry because she told you she was clueless. Like there's degrees, there's layers to it. But that's where that conditioning starts of like, when the other gender calls you out respectfully and lovingly, but holds you accountable, is your first response anger? Or do you actually listen? This is for all genders now. Yes? So that complementary thing individually, we need to get that. I would like to think we had that at one point in time. Like I really want to believe we weren't always this useless, but it's just the system that we've
just decided, angry all the time,
and just angry and resentful.
Hulk is everywhere. She-Hulk and Man-Hulk.
Exactly, just angry and jealous and envious and resentful and manipulative. I would love to believe we weren't always like this as the human race. But we need to, if we were, then maybe this is the time now to create something new. We really can achieve and experience so much greatness if we can collaborate in the way that we're supposed to. Yes? So that women don't have to burn themselves out trying to pretend to be a machine. And then men also don't have to burn themselves out trying to embellish their manliness when like it's a definition of manliness. It's not even real. Yes? So it's okay if you're figuring it out, but don't manipulate people because you feel entitled to be the lead on everything when you're on the man side. And when you're on the woman side, it's also okay to figure things out, and it's okay to lead sometimes too, but don't lead through bitterness and anger. In spite of, I'm pretty sure you are very valid to be feeling bitter and anger, all right? Because we've all been picking up scars along the way. But you got to be able to transmute that so that we don't have these blow-ups or these tension between the genders. So we continue looping in the rhetoric of conversation about equality among genders. And it goes into passive aggressive mode. Well, if you want to be equal, then I can fight you then, even if you're just a girl. Or if you want to be equal, then you go join the army then and don't complain if it's too hard. That's not what equality is about. It's not about if the woman wants to be the firefighter, that's fine. But that's not, equality doesn't mean everyone trying to be a man. Do you not see how like imbalance
Yeah.
that is. No one, there's never been a deal like, oh, we're going to do equality, so everyone's going to try and be a woman. How come y'all never say that?
Yeah.
How come none of y'all say, well, since we're doing equality, all you men should go get your manicures and pedicures now? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, do you guys make those examples? No, you don't. It always makes it seem like it's a terrible thing that women just want to actually do more than just cook and breed humans. And it's like, but that's the role you imposed on women, claiming that's the only thing they can do. The fact that she can also be a CEO or a policewoman or a astronaut, it doesn't mean she's trying to be a man. It's meaning she's redefining the role that you imposed on her that wasn't correct in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the disconnect ends up happening. And then for men, the role for you, again, that is displaced for you to have all the answers and you should hold on to all the control and everyone. And then like, because of that, if anything goes wrong, it's all on you, my guy, because you're the one who was controlling everything. So now that something went wrong, all the blame goes on you. That's a role that was imposed on you too. Mm-hmm. We could be working together, right? So that all of it's not all on your shoulders. But we got to fix that conditioning. It shouldn't just be like, well, sometimes I'll listen to you to help, and at other times, no, I'm the one in charge. It's like, no, there needs to be a balanced, almost like a dance. We need to be able to lead and follow fluidly. But in order to do that, it does need to have mutual respect. It does need some serious mutual healing on both sides, because what we all are carrying is not just what happened today, it's also what happened 5,000 years ago. We're carrying all of that
on our backs.
All on our backs.
Generational trauma.
I'm telling you, all of our ancestors are like, y'all gonna fix this? Because we didn't. And I'm like, yeah, we know you didn't. That's why we're sitting here dealing with it now. So as a solution on the individual level, if we can hold ourselves accountable to go ahead and ask those types of questions and check ourselves when we're feeling a slight resentment or resistance for certain things and be like, is this really me right now? Or is this something I heard online? Or is this like something I've been conditioned about? Like, why do I feel this kind of way just because of this person's gender or not? On the macro level, I'm not sure which one needs to come first. I always think the micro needs to come first. So individually, let's get that together. Because on the macro level, yes, we're still not getting paid equally. On the macro level, yes, we're still not getting the perks that are supposed to be happening in any aspect of life, gender wise. Okay. Let me just, as an example, like period poverty is a thing.
Oh, yes.
All over the world. And that is something that only one gender has to deal with.
Yep.
Right? So on a macro level, what are we doing about that? And all genders should be concerned and equally supportive of stopping that. There's no excuse for stuff like that. Similarly, the level of harassment that happens. And I know that maybe, I don't know if like reports truly illustrate one gender over the other. Like, oh, it's only women who get harassed. Men never get harassed. No, we understand men get harassed too. Men get molested too. Men get attacked too. But the fact that it's possible women still possibly are a larger number of those victims. Like you noted about, I want to hear the people who get it. I want to hear from the men who get it. Because I also believe that there are men who understand this. This is not a foreign concept to them. This is how they've been. Either it's how they've been all their lives, or they checked themselves some time ago and were like, bet, that's not me. And I don't roll like that. I'm hoping and trusting they're in the majority. Similar to how there are women who get it and are not being problematic or leveraging men. Or trashing men or leveraging some form of damsel in distress privilege in a manipulative way, right? But in that regard, when it comes to the harm that's happening between the genders, for those who get it, I'm asking either for you men who get it, I'm going to assume maybe you're the men who are not sitting on a podcast being proud about what color pill you take. But we don't necessarily, in terms of, I want to hear from you, is not necessarily that you need to be on some campaign online blasting something. Instead, I would like to know, are you checking your homies? Like, are you talking to your friends? Are you talking to your cousins? I'm sure it's like, are there predators in your group? Why are they there? Do you know that they're predators in your group? And if they are you checking them? Or you just let them be? You just let them do whatever. Or can you stand on like, yo, that's not cool. Why would you treat somebody like that? Actually, we can't be friends anymore if you're out here harassing people, raping people, molesting people, manipulating people, stealing from people. Like, we can't do that. You're not my friend. You're not invited to the cookout. Like, are we doing that? Because this conversation cannot be one-sided where it's only women speaking to their experience, speaking to the studies, speaking to the data, all this stuff, when like, y'all are part of the conversation too. Mm-hmm. And it can't be just women speaking to men in person to let them know that, oh, it's actually not okay. You can't just grab a girl like she's a doll. You can't, like, she's not a doll. She's alive.
I'm not Barbie. Yeah.
She's not Barbie. She would prefer her feet to stay on the ground unless, y'all have a rapport that she's okay with that. But if you don't.
I prefer to be standing, How about don't put me in a bag and throw me in
things like that. Or exactly.
That.
So like men need to be a part of this conversation too, because I don't think I think that's where the passive aggressiveness comes in of, well, if I can't call you dear, then I'm never going to talk again. That's passive aggressive. You completely miss the point. Completely missed the point. So that's why all of us need to be in these types of conversations. They don't necessarily have to be online. They don't need to go viral. These are the things you should be doing among your community, because that is where the major impact is going to happen. Yes. Now, both of us were women, so our perspective obviously is on this side of the fence. Mm-hmm. So yes, of course, I would love to know also, okay, so for men, like, is it difficult to check your friends? Is this a foreign concept to be able to like women outside of what they do for you? Are you capable of valuing and respecting a woman as a human being, as opposed to a status symbol? Do you secretly hate women and it's just always been the case for your whole life? Like,
can we talk about that? Can we
talk about that? Are you ready to unpack it and let it go? Because I do feel like a lot of this also is what's holding a lot of people back from experiencing the life and the abundance that they can have, really. Because similar to that study of noting, like, if us women weren't around, what would y'all be doing? I feel like, well, then maybe there's some value there that you are not making yourself accessible to, while still clinging to either this conditioning or this deep-seated hatred and fear. Yes.
Yeah.
And on the women's side, I know it can take a lot of effort to try to block out not only the negativity online about men, but possibly your own experiences. Because we do live in a society that there's just so many examples of, like, this wouldn't happen this way if I was a man. The only reason why this is happening, or the only reason why this person is treating me this way, or the only reason why this and this is going on is because I'm a woman. And so there's so much that we've had to create guards of our own and armor of our own to deal with. But this is part of our work too, when we have to collaborate, yes, that we can't be passive about the effort that's needed to transmute that as well. That pain or that hurt is valid. But I think that's also part of the system trying to keep you looping in that, of believing that this is all there is. So you might as well continue being bitter about everything. We're not going to get very far in that either.
Oh. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I wish, like, if I had to go somewhere, I can, like, put on a costume and look like a man. Like, I'm like, can I get a costume and look like The Rock? You know what I mean? Just go out, do what I have to do, and then go back into my car and turn back and do my girl self. You know what I mean? Because at least if you go out, no one's gonna mess with The Rock, right? You know what I mean? Some 6'5" huge macho guy, and then be walking around. I mean, they could be attacked too, but it'll be more difficult, right? And so yeah, it's kind of like you have this constant paranoia of like, oh, what's gonna happen today? Because I'm a girl, and this world is weird, you know. But sometimes I'm encouraged. Like I remember I went to one of my friends got married a few years ago, and one of the couples that were there, the guy stood up to say his like speech for the husband or the groom, and he said something about the reason why things worked with his now girlfriend or wife. I think it was a wife. Was that she was the first one that was like a partner to him. Like when he had had other dates or girlfriends in the past, it was always a thing of like percentages, like you do this and I do this, and if you don't do it's like who does what, and if you don't do it, then you know. Whereas for this wife of his, they don't do that. They just kind of pick up the slack. Like if I leave this thing here, you pick it up. We don't argue. I do this. Whenever you can help, you do, and you don't kind of like section it off like, well, you're supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do this and that's it, you know. And it should, and that's not how it's supposed to be, like a, you know, a partnership, right? And he said how that's why it worked, because like if I do something, if I leave something, I'm saying she picks it up, if she I pick it up, and we're not arguing about how much of something you're supposed to do or how much you're giving the person kind of thing. And I think that's how it has to be in a micro and macro level, where you help when you can. And sometimes, like, you know, if one person or one part is down and they're weaker, the stronger one can help them out. And then when it flips and they're weaker, the stronger person, you know, it shouldn't be like, well, I did this, so you do this. It's like, no, it's like, how can I help you? And let me think more about you and how you are affected by it, as opposed to just thinking about what I need to do or what I'm like, I should do this because, you know. And I think that could also lessen some of the bitterness, because you realize it's not about what I do and what I should do. It's about how can I help, or how can I make life and the world a better place, because I'm, you know, we are both a team trying to make things better, as opposed to like fighting or competing against each other, right? I mean, it's the same thing if you're in like a club or in sport or something. Like, you know, if you're both on the same basketball team, soccer team, whatever, well, not gym because you do it by yourself, but like swimming or whatever, and we don't work together, and you're like, well, you know, I'm gonna put the goal on the right side. Well, I'm gonna put on the left side. So like, no, you have one basket, and if you were on the same team, you have to work together to get it in the same basket. You can't just be like, you can't do opposite things. And how do you work together? It's dumb. It doesn't work. That's how bands get broken up, right? Because you can't work together. It doesn't work. It's the same thing. But you know, for you know, we understand that in a team situation in sports, we understand that you need to be partners to do stuff. But for some reason, one-on-one and with women, we can't figure out, you know, obviously it's a more intimate situation in a lot of the times. But yeah, and I think we don't, you know, we need to talk more. But it's encouraging that some people do talk and they do figure it out, and they do kind of, you know, but it would be nice to see like that can happen more, and we can check other people more. If we see other people acting out, we can be like, you know, maybe you shouldn't do that. You know, maybe this is the other way to do things. And yeah, and then try to get to the source of it, of why you feel that way. Because let's say you're the other type where you are confused about women and men now. You don't really understand what the heck is going on. Figure out why do you feel that way, and where can you help yourself? Where can you figure out, how do I not feel like this? Or why do I feel like I have to attack people? Maybe I should not do that. You know, maybe I should not do things that will get me in jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just maybe, you know, um, or if you do feel angry and bothered by something, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like you can't share what you have to share? And like, what can you talk about that? Can they be dealt with? Can we get to a compromise? Can we see things from the other person's perspective? You know, because I think, and then also I think it's an individual level too, because like, just because like one person does something doesn't mean everybody's like that. I think we sometimes do too much, where we put everyone in the same box and the same circle, the same thing, and then we just pit, okay, go fight, you know. And I'm kind of like, everyone is individual. Everyone has their own thoughts and experiences and values and things they go through that shapes who they are as a person, kind of thing. And I feel like if we communicate more about that, then it would work more. And that kind of adds to my confusion because, like, I mean, I know we've already said we're neurodivergent. So being neurodivergent is an extra layer of it because people act differently than how we act. So it's kind of weird sometimes. But for me, I can see things happening and people acting like doing weird stuff. And in my head, I'm like, why don't they get it? Like, I get it. Why can't we just, you know what I mean? Just don't do that. Like, you know, kind of thing. And even with women or even friends of mine be complaining about stuff that men do. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm just like, why? What? Like, I don't get, you know, I'm kind of like, why don't you just do the other thing? Why don't you take the yellow pill instead of the rainbow one? I'm just kidding. This Matrix reference will be here forever.
Yes.
It's a metaphor, by the way. People are not really taking pills, just in case people don't get that, you know. But yeah, and I see things, I'm like, well, you know, if we would just talk about this and do this, wouldn't it make sense? But maybe it's like, I don't know, it's harder if, I don't know, whatever. But I just see people going through issues and I'm just like, I don't know. We need to, and also healing. A lot of times if you do your own healing and your own therapy in any shape or form, and you figure out what are your triggers or what, you know, bothers you and hold your own self accountable, it's easier to do stuff. If you can deal with your own stuff, sometimes it's easier to deal with other people around you, right? But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see moving forward. I don't know what this means 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, how it's going to look, but hopefully it's better, or there's more people that are better able to understand that, like, if we're going to live with each other, we need to live with each other and work together and figure out how to be better. And like, I don't think tearing each other down or being angry because you don't understand things or you feel useless or you feel like you can't do anything, I don't think that's how we should do stuff. We need to like figure out how to work together and not be so bitter about stuff and, you know, yelling and screaming at each other and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't, you know, we just talk, just communicate, just figure out what is it? Why are you triggered? Why? Let's talk about it. What's the deal? Let's get on it and get to the main thing and stop going around, because we all see the thing, like the problem is sticking out of you. We can see it. It's like, you know, like I think I remember there's some book I read. I forgot. I mean, I know we had our self-help book thing that we had like some time ago, but this is a different kind of book. This is the book that actually helps. But the book was something about how it was a metaphor for like if you have trauma or a trigger or something, and it's like there's like a thing sticking out of like a stick. It's like a stick sticking out of you as a metaphor. It's a stick, and instead of dealing with the stick, instead of pushing the stick or pulling out the stick, we just put stuff over it. We just like hide things and we just wrap things around the stick and we act like everything's fine. Let's hang out. And the stick is still there, just like in you, and you won't deal with it. And we keep on pretending it's not there, but you know it's there. Like we can't just pretend, oh, I don't have triggers. What's that? Oh, I don't have trauma. Oh, I don't have, you know, this has nothing to do with what my mom did. This has nothing to do with what my friend did that one time. And now I attack everyone that looks like my friend. Like, you know, my you know, like my friend had the snake tattoo. So everybody who has snake tattoo, I want to attack them. Like, you know, you know what I mean? I'm being, but you get me, right? Like, you know, like deal with your stick. Like, oh my God, like, you know what I mean? Like stop hitting people with it, you know? And yeah, and I know it's hard. I know, whatever. I get it. I know it takes time. We have to figure things. Life is hard. Yeah, I know. But you know, we need to be even just acknowledging that there's an issue, acknowledging why am I so bothered? Why am I so angry by something that you should not be angry about? Why am I resentful of someone not wanting to do exactly what I'm doing? Like why, you know? And one more point, I'll add to what you said, Dagny. But yeah, whenever we talk about equality, it's always about, oh, so you want to be a man? That's always what it is. And I'm like, wait, but that's inequality. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, like a woman wanting to get like a job that doesn't, like, if she can do the job, she can do the job. What does that have to do with whether you're a man or woman or not, you know? And also like, I don't know, it's just kind of you know, we just need to have you know, more discussions that actually go somewhere. They can't just be the usual thing about like, oh, so like all we ever talk about is like, well, who should pay at dinner? Like who's gonna pay at the date? Like I'm like, that's all we can talk about. There's nothing else. All you can talk about is who's gonna pay, you know, things like that. And like, oh well, some women don't, you know, like the thing where women don't want men to open the door for them. Like silly stuff like that that doesn't really, even the meme I brought up in the beginning, that's not, it's funny, but that's the very, very, very tip of the iceberg that doesn't go really into like what exactly is it inside you that's making it hard for us to move forward. And if you feel like you need to do more healing or you're being left behind, okay, why do you feel left behind? Let's talk about it. So I think that's the one, trying to just talk about it and try to be more honest with ourselves. And no, we don't, disclaimer, we don't hate women, we don't hate men. Like, that's not, let's not do that, because that's not really, I don't really see how that helps. What does that do? I don't know what that does. Dagny, what does that do? If we hate everybody, what does that do? I don't really know.
Exactly. Continue looping. That's all it does.
Can just loop. Yeah, it's always the matrix. We're just in the same thing. We never get out. And if we want to get out, we have to, it's just like anything else. You have to grow. You can't like stay in the same thing looping forever, because then I don't like, and the thing is, it hurts everyone. Like, we think that, oh, this hurts women the most, but no, it hurts men too.
Yes.
If women and men are having a problem, everyone gets hurt in some way, even if you're like, well, I'm a man, so everything. No, it makes it difficult to live your life, and you feel like and then it makes you feel like you're not enough, and because if it didn't bother men, then why are they angry?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it didn't bother you, you see, so it's not only, oh, this is a woman problem. No, it's not, because y'all are mad too. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if it didn't bother you, why are you angry?
You
mad? Like, yes. Clearly it's bothering you, right?
Yeah.
Because you are human too, and we pretend, but I'm pretty sure men have emotions too, right? They feel things too. They cry too. They feel, so like, of course you're going to be affected by things around you, obviously, because you're a human. It's like human emotions, right? Human experience, right? So yeah, I think we should deal with this, and I understand anger and bitterness makes sense, but let's get beyond that emotion. Let's get beyond that and try to figure out what other, things we can feel and think about. So yeah, it's just, obviously this is an ongoing conversation, of course, because we haven't fully found the solution yet, but we offer some strategies and some ways to delve into how we can be better.
Places to start, because it's true, the definition of equality will probably continue to evolve. But if we can at least start,
but the main thing is be respectful.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
And take note of your conditioning and how we can redefine it, decondition it into the new system we obviously are already evolving into. So, wrapping it up, bring it all in. Bring it all in. Yep. So
take it all out. No, I'm just kidding. No, bring it in. Back in the basket.
Indeed. Bring it all in. So
the quilt, weave it in the quilt.
Thank you. So we hope you enjoy this conversation about equality and genders, and we would love to hear your thoughts on it. Did this surprise you? Is this something you already thought about? We love hearing from you. Let us know. And if there's anything else branching out of this topic you would like to hear our insight on, let us know too, and we'll definitely incorporate it in a subsequent episode. So thank you again for listening. Really appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you. Be blessed, be loved, be respectful, and heal. You can heal. If you're not healing now, start healing. Bye.
Bye. Take care.